This tree that starts out as a seed doesn't stay a seed. Eventually it sprouts from the ground, and it spends so much time in darkness. People want to sort of demonize the dark and make it this terrible thing. There is good time spent in darkness.
Yes.
Is where you grow, is where you are nurtured. When that seed sprouts, it's vulnerable. It's needing to soak up all these nutrients. It's needing to become the sapling that can bend and move when storms and all that come through without dying. But guess what? That sapling also doesn't stay that way. It eventually grows into this deeply rooted, broad canopy, thick trunk, mighty oak. But it didn't happen overnight. It took a long time. It took a lot of storms. It took a lot of bad shit to happen for it to get to that.
This isn't just a podcast. This is my life's work. In a world full of noise, debate, filters, and artificial content, this platform is real. It's raw. It's human. We're here to give people a voice, speak truth, and connect through something deeper than algorithms. We've already reached over 20 million views across all platforms, with an audience that is loyal, engaged, and passionate about this show because it speaks to the soul. If your business or brand believes in authenticity, if you value marketing through something that reflects your values and aligns with real impact, then this is your opportunity. Sponsorship isn't just support, it's fuel. If you want to reach people, not just through metrics, but through their hearts, their minds, and purpose, let's partner. Let's build something that matters. Ready to roll?
I'm ready.
What is up, everybody? This is Joe Adams, and welcome to the Relentless Pursuit Podcast. What we do on this podcast is bring in guests from all different backgrounds, all different walks of life to share their journey and everything along the way that led them to where they're at today. This podcast is a reminder of what's real. Unfiltered stories, raw emotion, and the kind of human connection that can't be faked. We're here to make an impact, and that is what we do. So if that is for you, like, subscribe, all those wonderful things. And if that is not for you, I don't know what your problem is, but it's time to jump on board today. Thank you. But without further ado, I would love to introduce today's guest, Jesse Stillwagon.
Oh, yeah. And Joe Adams with the beautiful intro. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, man. I appreciate you. And it's good to have you here. We had a pretty extensive conversation off camera, but, I'll tell my story, let you get to know me a bit. And then we talked about all of our similar interests, which doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, there's a lot of boxes that got checked off there, and you got quite a story to tell. So thanks for sharing.
Well, I appreciate that, man. I appreciate that. I know I need to do a thing where I talk about it more because a lot of people come on here and they have no idea. So
yeah,
we need to do an episode revisiting that. But nice. We'll get to that. But anyways, man, yeah, it's good to have you. For those of you that don't know Jesse, he emailed me a couple months back, a few months ago.
Yeah, it was, right around the beginning of the year, I think.
Yes, and that was in my transition of moving into this new, getting out of the old space, trying to move. I was trying to figure a lot of different dynamics out. Mm-hmm. And I was terrible at communication, so I appreciate your patience. And now here you are in the new space.
It's ironic that, your brand and everything, Relentless Pursuit. I was a bit relentless, but I wasn't unkind about it, I don't think. I was.
No, you were very kind. I was like, dude, this guy's great. Like, I really appreciate that.
It was a relentless pursuit of getting on your show. And it worked out.
And here you are, dude.
Yeah.
Now I got to get on yours, man.
Exactly. Yeah, we got to figure that out.
And what's your show? It's so Midgard Musings is your thing, right?
Right. Yeah, that's the brand or the social media, everything that I've done since this is about 6 or 7 years now that I've been doing it. And then the podcast, I just branded it as Random Heathen Ramblings.
Random Heathen Ramblings.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
And that's what it's titled on YouTube.
Yeah. So I do have all the regular, big socials, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, that whole, the big three, I guess.
Yeah.
I started off on YouTube.
Okay.
Doing just, I didn't have the podcast branded at the time, but
I started random heathen stuff.
It was, I called it Midgard Musings.
Yeah.
And what it started off as was just me sitting in front of a camera. I was doing like live streams, Yeah. And then I would use that live stream as content to upload to the channel because I wasn't able to live stream at the time. So I would go live on Facebook, and then I put the live recording of it up on YouTube, and all it was me. I started off with reading the Havamal,
okay,
which is part of the Poetic Edda,
mm-hmm.
and I would do shows where I would read 9 verses or 9 stanzas at a time, and then I would kind of analyze each stanza and what it meant and how I could apply it or whatever. So that's what the whole thing started off as, was just me reading through, this part of a poetic, a part of a poem in the Poetic Edda, and I didn't know what I would do after that. Like once I reached the end, I'm like, now what?
Yeah.
And what that became is what it is now. But I didn't really get into the podcasting thing until probably a year or two later. I was just doing, okay, well, what do I want to do a video about that pertain to paganism or heathenry?
Yeah, man. I think it's really cool though how it transformed into that. And I mean, are you loving the podcast now?
I do. Yeah. I mean, there's days where, and there have been times where, anytime you put yourself out on a platform hosting anything and you have a voice, you always get the haters and the trolls. And I've actually, soon after I started my channel, the Midgard Musings and all that, like I was, probably hundreds of subscribers, like nothing even worth making a splash anywhere. And but I had gotten to a point where I was able to do like live streams and stuff on YouTube. And I've been swatted twice.
Swatted?
Yeah.
How so? Like from YouTube?
Yeah, like I've had like cops come in, break in my house and like pull guns on me and stuff because somebody was watching my live stream and they made a false 911 call saying that I had unalived somebody or hurt somebody. And then
what?
Yeah.
You're like, dude, I'm just talking about
paganism. I'm just like talking about, answering people's questions or talking about how my day was. And next thing you know, it's like handcuffs. And yeah, it was so like, I love what I'm doing? Yeah, but I'm also like happy about that experience didn't deter me from shutting down.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it could have ended really badly. There's been gamers and other people that have the cops called on them, and people get hurt or unalived, and it's I'm like, well, that didn't happen, but if that's what you were trying to do, you're gonna have to try a little bit harder.
Dude, I didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah, it used to be a thing. I don't know how much it is anymore, but like when like online gaming came big, yeah, there were like punk kids and just terrible people that would mask their numbers, and that's the thing about it. Like the second time it happened, I'm like, all right, you idiots, I'm gonna get you. So I went to the police department in Murfreesboro, and I'm like, this is what happened. You guys have been out to my house. Clearly I'm not doing anything wrong, but I think I'm being targeted. Well, I don't think like, this is clear. Like, I mean, because it was funny. Like they came into the house and like, is there anybody here? And at the time I was home alone. Like my wife was out visiting friends, and it was nighttime, and I'm like, no, there's nobody here except the dogs and me. And they're like, well, we just got a call that said you stabbed your grandmother. I'm like, which one? The one that's been dead for 20 years or 25 years? Because I'm not even from here, man. Like, what are you talking about? My grandmother. Like, so okay, something's going on here. And I'm
that's wild.
It is. And I'm like, okay, so then how can we get this? And they said, well, the thing of it is if they're calling from like a soft phone or something, they can't trace that number back to any point of origin.
Yeah.
It could be masked over a number of different ways. And I said, well, what if, 911 calls are always recorded. I said, can I hear the 911 call? And if I identify the voice, can we pursue this, as an investigation of a criminal harassment or whatever? And they're like, yeah, we can do that. And I didn't recognize the voice. It sounded like it was either an older person trying to sound like a kid, or it was like a young kid just goofing off. And I'm like, all right, well, but I did. I went back after the first time, or no, actually, it was after the second time, and I'm like, keep on now, because I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah.
So they're gonna have to, and I hate to be this way, but it's like they're gonna have to do something to stop me, because I'm not stopping.
100%.
You
can't let anything stop you.
No.
Especially when what you're doing fires you up.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That's crazy. I mean, I'm glad no one's busted in here. I haven't done any live stuff, so now I'm hesitant on trying it out. I guess if they show up, I'll keep the cameras rolling. It'd be good content.
That's what I had to do. The first time I didn't know what was going on. All I hear is, knocking on the door and the dogs are going crazy. I'm like, guys, I'm going to turn the live off. But that's what they want. The people that do this, that want they want this show, they want this spectacle. So that's why they do it. So the second time it happened, I'm like, I heard him, and I looked at the camera, I'm like, yeah, come on in. I'm like, hands up, the whole thing. And they came on camera, the police did, and, everybody got to see me get put in handcuffs. I'm like, so you got your show. You got you got your rocks off, whatever. And then I came right back, and I'm like, so, wiped my hands, took another sip of my whiskey. I'm like, now let's get back to the show, guys.
Hell yeah. You're still rolling, baby.
Still rolling.
I love
Still
it.
Rambling.
Still rambling. So, Jesse's been walking a similar path to mine for years now. Germanic Heathenry or paganism or whatever, you want to, I just call it the old ways, right?
Yeah.
At this point. It's interesting because I do just, paganism's been skewed by so many different things. When you look at the root word of it, what it stems from, like, that's pretty clear. And then, you got TV and shows, and people just had this idea of what it is. So I'm just like, I believe in the old ways,
Yeah.
And so
yeah,
it's just kind of a way.
We're not Vikings.
Yeah, we're not Vikings, I promise.
That was an occupation. That wasn't a.
Yeah.
It was more about. It was like a seasonal hobby.
It was an age.
Something you would go do.
Yeah, exactly.
And then, it got called the age of the Viking age. But I mean, like, if I go hiking, that doesn't mean that that's my ethnicity. It means that I'm going hiking.
You are a hiker.
So if you went on raids, you went a Viking. That was, a Vikingur was the Old Norse word for it. So that's what you did. It wasn't, you weren't born in Viking land.
That's funny as hell. Yeah. So we're not that, but most of my guests are Christian, and I embrace it. I love hearing people talk about like what led them there and all that stuff, man. I've had so many amazing people on here, and it's cool getting to talk to you now. Like, we'll get to dive into your faith and what led you there and why and your conviction, all those things. And I think it'd be good. This is a good opportunity for some of my viewers to maybe understand the beliefs a little bit different, but also encapsulate your journey. So, looks like you got
something for you. And I meant to do this before we started rolling, but now that we are, I'm not going to interrupt. I'm going to interrupt if I could.
Dude, please do.
So I have just a little, a trinket for you. I like to have gifts ready for people who are so kind to me. So this is something that I didn't personally make, but it was made by somebody that I know, and you're pagan. So that's a runic symbol.
Yes.
On there. It's a Thurisas.
Yes.
And I've had it for so long, and I've never really done anything. It was, just a random gift, and gifts are a big part of the culture too.
Yes,
and, yeah. So as part of a thanks for having me on your show,
man,
I wanted to bring that to you, man.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely.
That means a lot, man. Stuff like this is huge to me. So, man, that's so cool. I might get caught in the cords. I'm going to put it on after we shut off the cameras. But thank you so much for that, man. That's amazing.
You're welcome. Thank you.
And I love stuff like that. It means something.
Yeah,
that's powerful. So dude, all right, episode's over. I got the gift. See y'all.
Bye.
But anyways, so let's talk about the path. Let's talk about the turning points. Let's focus on your journey now, because we could probably spend hours just talking about random stuff. I can already tell, and I could see us actually recording again already, just because this has been a great conversation. But that said, where are you at now? What does life look like for you today, for Jesse today? And just briefly, and then we're going to take it back.
I mean, I've been doing heathenry now this will be like my 10th, I guess this is about my 10th year. I'd say I've been doing it for a decade now, solid. So what I'm doing now is I'm still doing the heathen thing, but it's not really, it's my heathenry. You know what I mean? Like, it's not, I'm not tied to any particular, tribe or kindred. I'm not oathed to another external group. I have extensions of my inner family that I count as kin, that have done, we've tied enough of the weird together. We've shared enough experiences. We've done enough things.
What's the weird? Explain the weird so the viewers may understand.
Right. So weird, and it sounds like I'm saying that it's strange or weird, and that's how it's pronounced, but it's spelled WYRD.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a very intricate concept that is similar to what you might consider like fate or destiny, but it's not really that. There's more interaction with weird, because it is like a tapestry. It's a web. So when this here right now, what Joe and I are doing, he has his own weird and his family's weird, and I have mine and my family's, but our weird is intertwining as we speak and as we've spoken already. We're tying threads. And where those threads go and how strong they become remains to be seen. But it's a moment in time, and it's how people would interact and how people would intertwine with their lives.
Yeah.
So the things that people have done over the years that I've become close with have become interwoven into my family dynamic, and the weird ties have strengthened in that way. So in that way, there's some kinship, and there's some feelings of family like that. But it's not like as you might see, like a big group of gathering and stuff. Now I've gone to those, big like ritual gatherings or ceremonial things, and I have other stuff that is again loosely based around heathenry, but it's something stronger than that. There really is no label that could be put to it, because it's from the heart and it's from genuine truth, and it's things that we can share without having to put a label to it.
Yeah, I love how you put that, because it's very well worded, but you talked about how you have your own, right? And even like I have my brothers, but like it's not like we have to see it the same way. Like we're there to do ritual together and keep those things alive, keep those ancient ways alive, but we're creating our own traditions too. Like we can't replicate 110% what people did thousands of years ago.
Right.
But we do our best to do that, but also like it is our path. But the way I view things, or like how I look at it, isn't going to be the exact same as you do or one of my other brothers does, right? But we have that thing that ties us together.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Because you talk about things being done a certain way, a long time ago, thousands of years ago. I mean, that worked for the time, and it was built around traditions that had been established through time before that. I'm not the original, like, I didn't come up with this phrase, and I've heard it and I've used it so many times, but what tradition is not the worship of ashes. It's the preservation of fire, and how you carry that fire. Sometimes fire is a torch, sometimes it's embers, but it's preserving that fire, and it's keeping that flame alive. And the flame changes, and the places that it goes is it changes with the people as it goes. But
man, that's so cool. I love that too. You've quoted some things that I'm actually going to use for, written content and stuff like that. So thank you.
Yeah. But
it's really solid stuff. So you got your own thing, you do that. And obviously you got a family, and correct. And
yep. I'm married. I've actually been, my wife and I, we've been not married for this long, but we've been together 10 years this month. August. It's almost August now. So nice. We met in 2015, and August 1st will be our 10 years that we've been together. We've been married for almost 8 of that.
Nice, dude. Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
And how many kids you got?
None that are in this realm.
Okay.
And none that we've actually like birthed or sired ourselves. I've got 2 adopted.
For some reason, I thought you
sons.
said you had kids by now.
Well, the kid, like I'm saying, like the whole family thing. It's, okay. I mean, they are not biologically ours, but they have been interwoven into our family dynamic so strongly that they might as well be.
Nice.
So like nieces, nephews. I'm Uncle Jesse. And then I just recently became an adopted grandfather, if you believe that.
That's pretty cool.
So now I'm a bop bop.
Bop bop.
Yeah.
How old are you?
I just turned 40.
Nice, dude. Bop bop at 40.
Yeah. Doesn't feel right, but it is right.
Just rolling with it.
Rolling with it. That's the fact that's what they wanted. They're like, hey, we want you to be like a grandfather for this boy. I'm like, man, my adopted daughter, or my bonus daughter, I call her, it was again another situation where family has been woven over time, and my wife helped raise these 2 kids, and it was a boy and a girl, and the girl is now a first-time mother, and she needs all that family help that she can get, because she's a first-time mom. She doesn't know what she's doing.
Yeah, amazing, man.
So she's got all the aunts, the uncles, the grandparents, the everything to help along the way.
Heck yeah, man. Well, let's take it back. where do you hail from? Where does Jesse come from? Bring us back to the beginning of your time here. Touch on some influences in your childhood and stuff like that, and we'll just evolve it from there.
I am originally from Long Island, New York. Is where I was born and raised.
Great North.
Yep. I was I was born on 11/11, November 11th, at 7:11 a.m. across the street in the hospital from a 7-Eleven convenience store. My due date was 11/7.
Is that for real?
I'm dead serious. The only thing I wasn't was like I wasn't 7 pounds 11 ounces. I was 8 pounds and 6 ounces, whatever it was. But yeah, so like the whole like 11's have been a thing. I was born clinic. I was born dead. I was a stillborn. And lived on Long Island with my mom, dad, and sister, and we had aunts and uncles and grandparents and stuff that were there until 13. We moved off the island up to the lower Hudson Valley area of New York.
Okay.
So Orange County, New York. If you ever watched the show Orange County Choppers back in the day.
That's right. Yeah, that's
where they were. Yeah.
Okay.
So a lot of people thought it was Orange County, California, because
they didn't sound like Orange County,
California. No. Paul Sr. And then they were New York rednecks, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's so. And so I lived there. Had a church community. I was raised in Christianity, a non-denominational flavor of it or version of it. Okay. So there was no. We weren't Baptist, Pentecostals, whatever, nothing like that.
Yeah.
But that's what I was raised in. I started coming into myself as a teenager, in the late 90s and early 2000s. I'm, becoming a man, or a young boy, so that whole transition of my life where I'm starting to question things, and that was not too well accepted by the community that I was raised in, to push back.
Well, if you don't mind, what maybe was your upbringing like, or what influences maybe shaped your worldview?
Yeah, well, so my upbringing was very insular. Like, we had a very close community. The church wasn't a big church community. It was 10 or 15 families, 20, 30 members with kids and all that. Mm-hmm. And then, but we were also so I like to, when I try to tell people about what it was like for me growing up, I was like, a picture like the lifestyle of the Amish or the Mennonites, very nature based, farms and stuff, but without so much we had electricity, we had the running water, we didn't run around in carriages and horse buggies or anything like that. Yeah. But the values, we were very, very tribal, I guess is a good way of putting mm-hmm. it. We relied on one another and we were there for one another. Hunting, fishing, farming, gardening. I worked on a farm from the time I was 11 years old.
Sounds like a nice life, though.
It was great, and that's so much of what informed my worldview growing up was this is what I thought a good life should be like.
Yeah.
The people looked out for one another, and even though there was conflict or there was differences, and it made things tough sometimes, you worked through those things together.
Exactly.
And you didn't, just because somebody disagreed or made you mad, you didn't post about it on social media or get up somebody's ass because of, they just disagreed. You worked through it. You figured out what was the root of this, why.
Yeah. You communicate.
Communicate.
Truly communicate.
Right.
You don't just yell about it.
Yep.
Exactly. Communication's, I think, a misunderstood word this day and age.
Again, the way that our culture has formed is everybody has a voice because they have a phone and they have a camera and they can open up an app and they can blab on about their feelings. Well, that's a monologue. You got to have there's things that you feel or that you say about something somebody's going to disagree with.
Yeah.
And there may be a good reason why. So are you open to that conversation? Are you open to learning, where you might be wrong?
We don't need to be shouting with megaphones, though. Put the megaphone down and have a discussion.
Right.
It's simple.
Yeah.
Yeah. So same thing.
I have that problem sometimes, though, because of where I'm from. Like my wife, a lot of times, and she's born and raised in Murfreesboro, Tennessee.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And we'll be sitting in the same room, and she's like, "Will you stop yelling?" I'm like, "I'm not yelling." And I'm like, she's like, "You don't realize it," but I'm like, I guess it's just the northern, attitude or whatever. I get excited about stuff and I just get into it. And she's like, find your whisper. I'm like, I can't. I haven't found it in a long time. I misplaced that something a long time ago.
You're just yelling about the simplest thing. That's funny as hell. Dude, so you were talking about your worldview, though, started to shift a little bit as you were, becoming a young man, a boy, whatever. How does that look?
Well, I guess I was starting to question some of the doctrine of things that I was raised in, because I was like, well, if I wasn't getting solid answers. I was just being told, like, you just got to believe, you got to have this faith, this blind faith. And I'm like, well, I have questions about things. Things aren't lining up. A and A is not equaling 2, or A and B is not equaling 2, right? One and one's not coming together
to make sense.
Yeah, the math ain't math, and the math wasn't math. And so, like, and then it wasn't just about like doctrine stuff or whatever what the Bible might have said. That it was more like what you're telling me should be and what is happening are not agreeing with one another. You're telling me that I saw so many. I saw families ripped apart. I saw people abusing things that were, they would talk about how, to have, wine and strong drink, to be a drunkard, right? Not good. It's a bad thing. And, and then I'm seeing behavior that is like, well, you're doing that. What a hypocrite. Like, what are you doing? Why are you telling me that that's a wrong thing to do, but now you're doing it, right? And
yeah,
I guess I was young enough to start realizing that, this is what adulthood can become. Like, it's complicated sometimes, not everything is quite so cut and dry. And when you're a kid, and the adult, we don't want to talk about that with you. I'm like, why not? I need to learn these things. I need to figure these things out.
Yeah.
Why aren't you, So and I was getting very. I didn't like what I was being told or the answers that I was being given. So like, I'm out of here. I'm gonna, figure out my own shit. Basically,
Yeah.
I'm gonna go on my own. And I got told in more ways than I could count. How, well, you're gonna fail. You're gonna be a failure, and when you come crawling back, you're going to have to repent and all this, like, really, like,
or you're going to go to hell.
Yeah. Like, you've, I was told, so that happened when I was, in my late teens, early 20s.
Okay.
I had met a girl, it was like right around the time that, this is early 2000s, and internet dating was starting to become a thing. And it was pretty, well, it was okay. Like, you still had like your wild Yahoo chat rooms and whatever, but
I like ASL.
Yeah, right. Yeah, Ancestral. Okay, yeah, ASL, and then that's how I got introduced to people. Because again, the community that I was in was not very diverse in terms of, it was mostly adults and married couples, and the kids that were in the community as well that I grew up around were way, like, our age brackets. It was a huge gap.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, like, here I am getting into my late teens, early 20s, and any of the eligible, females or whatever at the time, when I'm like, what, I had to wait like 5 or 6 years for them to even become legally of age to court.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I'm saying? And
of course.
Like, well, this is not, so again, I am at that point in my life, and I'm like, I'm trying to think about relationships and interacting with people of a romantic nature. And so I met a woman online who was just I think she was less than a year older than me.
Yeah.
And we clicked, we connected over Christianity, you know what I mean? I wasn't pagan at the time, and I was definitely not thinking about doing anything against God, because I'm like, I still think this is the way. Christianity, I felt like that was the way to do things. You felt like
the way they were doing it wasn't the way.
Yeah, there was just too many conflicted things that I was like, I'm not seeing, this is the way that I'm going to pursue God, at least my version, or my understanding of what God and that was supposed to be.
Of course. So
she was from Tennessee, and I'm still in New York, Middletown, in Orange County. And so we have this relationship long distance. I end up getting a plane ticket for her to come up. She spends, it was like a long weekend where she spent with I was still living at home with my parents. They okayed it, it's like, oh, you sleep in separate rooms and this and that. Okay, fine, that's fine, whatever. So the time comes for her to go back to Tennessee. Start taking it to the airport, which was in Newark, New Jersey, closest airport to our general vicinity without going down to the city, which the hell with that. So I'm driving her to Newark, and we hit traffic. Not an uncommon thing, especially in the area, but the traffic was so bad out of my, and I left, thinking I'm going to leave in enough time to get to the airport on time. So it wasn't like I was trying to avoid her, getting on her plane. I wasn't being malicious in that way. But the traffic, I get to Newark. She missed her flight.
Like, dang, I guess you got to stay longer.
So I called back home, right? And I called my mom and my dad, and I go, hey, she missed her flight. She's going to have to stay with us at least till tomorrow. And they go, no, she's not. And I go, well, what do you want me to do about that? She can get a hotel. Put her in a hotel for the night. I'm like, in Newark, New Jersey? She's never been anywhere outside of Tennessee. You want me to stick her in the middle of the slums of New Jersey? I don't think so.
I've been to the airport. It's not my favorite.
Yeah, it's, and it definitely was, I was like, wait, why can't she come back with us? Or why can't she come back and stay? I'll get her on the first flight tomorrow. Why can't she come back and stay at the house like she's been here? Not happening. They were just dug their heels in. And I was like, okay, well, and so I remember this, my dad, and he was like, you can either come home without her, put her in a hotel, she get on the next flight, or not come home. And I said, I was like 22. And I said, okay, I guess I'm not coming home. And that was the start. That was the start of me just saying, the hell with you and what you think. I don't, because I'm like, granted, you don't know this girl. I don't, we met like months ago. Like we're starting this relationship. But like, what an impression to leave on somebody to say, you stayed at our house, and now just because you missed your flight.
Yeah, that's not very
hospitable, not very Christ-like, I guess, at the time is what I was thinking of. You know what I mean? So I ended up getting a plane ticket myself, and I flew down to Tennessee with her.
So with your family, was that like a turning point in your relationship with them, or have things?
Oh yeah.
Oh really?
Yeah. No. So I've been married. I'm currently my wife and I. We've been together for 10 years. That's the third one. Third and last one, by the way. I ain't doing this ever again. No matter what, whatever happens, this is it. I third time's the charm, as I say.
Yeah.
Well, I got the charm, and I'm keeping it. That's it.
Good to go.
Good. I've done that. So the first one again, and then there's been another one in between. My current wife now, but yeah, like that was the turning point. My parents and I didn't speak at one point in time for years.
Really, because of that?
Because of stuff like that. Yeah, I broke away, and I refused to believe that what their way was and the way that they brought me up in was the only way. Because it wasn't even so much that I was leaving; it was the fact that I was leaving there.
Yeah,
and it wasn't. I'm still pursuing Christianity, yeah, but it ain't that version of it.
Dang.
So it was very. It was very absolute.
Christ's biggest lesson was teaching unconditional love, but that wasn't unconditional toward you. You're the kid.
It came so much across like that, and I'm like, well, I'm, all this doctrine that you've brought me up to believe. I mean, he literally, he was not accepted by his own. He had to go outside of his homeland to be accepted. He was rejected by his own people.
If anything, you started to understand him better.
Yeah. I mean, it was the irony of it, you know what I mean? Like so I get to Tennessee, and I start, that was a culture shock.
Yeah.
First of all, I was in West Tennessee at the time, close to Jackson.
Oh, yeah, way different than New York.
And it was way, I get to a store one time. It was a grocery store somewhere. I'm standing in line trying to get something and buy something. I get people talking. I'm like, are you talking to me? Why are you talking to me? I don't know you, right?
They're
people
like
back home in New York and up there, like people start talking to you, you're about to get mugged, or something bad's about to happen because they're trying to distract you from something.
These guys look at you. They're like, you're at the wrong Piggly Wiggly, Yankee.
Yeah. I still had to, I definitely was, a fish out of water.
Yeah.
Entirely. I got accustomed to it, and I was, I liked it. I liked the fact that people were a bit more cordial, and there was a nicety, that Southern hospitality that I'd always heard about.
Yeah, for sure.
It was people are nicer down here.
Yeah.
And so that's where I decided to settle in. Now I moved from that area of Tennessee to we're in Middle Tennessee now, but I like Tennessee. I like the experiences that I've had, and it's been a wild ride. I've been down here now 20 years.
Yeah, I love Tennessee, man.
Yeah,
it's a great place.
Yeah, I love the mountains. I like this. The one thing that I don't like is right now it's stupid hot outside, and my northern blood doesn't do well in the heat.
My southern blood doesn't do well in the heat.
It's on a different level, I think. I don't even think the southerners that are like this isn't the heat from like 50 years ago.
No. It's ridiculous. I'm like, dude, I'm checking my time. I'm like, hey, where's winter at? Can you come back around?
Yeah.
I like the cold.
The cold, yes.
Yeah, 100%. Good stuff, man. But yeah, so moving here, it's obviously that was a big turning point on your journey, a big shift. I mean, you're in a new relationship, right? Down here in Tennessee. You had the falling out with your family. I mean, how did that impact you on a deeper level?
I think for a little while, I didn't care because I was in the pursuit of my own life, and I'm like, I'm doing my own thing. And if you don't like it, the hell with you. Like, okay, I was kind of that arrogant little prick of a dude. You know what I mean? I went through that phase of my life where I didn't care so much. At least I didn't think so.
Yeah.
But when I when it got quiet and when I wasn't, trying to put up this attitude or this persona, I would realize like I feel bad about all of this.
Yeah.
I hated feeling like, and even later on, like when I got into heathenry, like one of the things that I struggled with so badly was feeling like I disappointed my parents.
Yeah.
I wasn't doing what they wanted me to do because they had my best interest in mind. I know they did.
Yeah.
They maybe they didn't say it their best way, or they didn't come across the best way. But deep down, they just wanted what was best for me, and that's what they thought it was. That they didn't have any other idea of what was best for me. And when I wasn't doing that, it was a huge disappointment to the both of them.
And it's your path. You gotta. So if you follow your heart's going to guide you to where what's best for you.
And when I finally got when I reached the point where I only got into the heathen side of things like a decade ago.
Yeah.
And I've been here for 20 years. So the first half of that 20 years, that first decade, I lost myself so much. I was, do I want to be Christian? Oh, well, what kind of Christian do I want to be now? Do I want to be a Baptist? Do I want to be Pentecostal, Methodist? I went to Catholic Mass several times just to see if that was it. You know what I mean? And tried a bunch of different versions of Christianity, and nothing really. Like it wasn't that it was bad. It just something wasn't connecting with me. You know what I mean? I didn't feel like I was being reached. I was just going through the motions so then I said, well, if this isn't it, then there must be nothing else. And I gave up on faith entirely. I just said, whatever it is, I don't know. And
we'll just see.
We'll see what happens. Out. I didn't put any stock into much of anything,
Yeah.
I just kind of gave up on religion, spirituality, the whole nine. Like if it's not Christianity, then there's nothing. And didn't realize that there were other things.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Of course.
So that's when I started to, it was, and I make a joke about this all the time because, or not really a joke, but I make light of it all the time. It was, what brought me into, heathenry. Like I didn't have any tattoos when I first, left Tennessee. When I was in New York, like I was, short hair, clean skin, no piercings, looking like the kind of kid that if you sold you a car, you'd buy it.
Yeah, like thing, he's honest.
Yeah, he's honest. He's and then I get my first couple of tattoos, and then my parents see me for the first time, and I'm like, I got ink, and they're like, "What is wrong with you? What has happened to you?" And but one of the first pieces I got was this Mjolnir on my arm. Yeah. So I was still going to church and Christian and all that at the time.
One of my first tattoos was this Mjolnir on my arm, actually. So interesting.
Why did you get yours?
Oh man, at the time I was 18. I just thought it was cool, and I liked runes, and I liked all that stuff, the aesthetic. Mm-hmm. To me, it wasn't very spiritual.
Yeah.
At 18, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, interestingly enough, like this become part of my life now.
Yeah, and that's what happened in a way. The reason I got it was, first of all, like I saw the design and I modified it a little bit. I'm like, it looks badass. You know what I mean? But I also I knew a lot about my heritage on my mom's and my dad's side. Mostly my dad, German, Dutch.
Dude, similar. Yeah.
So I got to this and I didn't know at the time that heathenry is a thing. I didn't realize that Northern Europeans had their own spirituality before Christianity was introduced.
Yeah.
all I knew was that this hammer means strength, and Thor is strong, and there's power, and there's this, right? So I liked the very like basic ideas of what the hammer meant.
Yeah, you're like, well, it's ancestral thing.
About
it's
my
cool.
ancestors, and it's cool, and it's strong, and I like, and I'll put it on my right arm because I'm a righty, and if I ever knock somebody, they've been hit with the hammer. You know what I mean? Like stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so then like that was the early 2010s, like around 2011 or so, I think, when I got it, 2009, 2010, something like that.
Damn, that was like 2009 for me, 2010, dude, same year.
Somewhere around that bracket, somewhere around that vicinity. I was working in the prison system at the time, and that's a whole wild thing because I get this fresh ink with a hammer, and the Aryans are like, hell yeah, man. I'm like, no. They didn't like
God.
that,
Oh my God, yeah, dude, we can get all into that,
but yeah, so like I fast forward to 2015 or so, and I get I'm not figuring out what I want to do with life. My spirituality. I'm bankrupt. I have nothing. I don't know where to go. And then Vikings comes on the History Channel, and I'm like, oh, cool, because I love stuff like Braveheart and Gladiator and all those like medieval battle shows and TV movies and all that. So that's what I saw. I saw the aesthetic of it. But then I'm like, I start watching. I'm like, oh, wait a minute. They're actually talking about Thor and Odin and all these figures of their, but it's like like they believe in them, like they're a thing. So I'm like, oh, Norse mythology, and I start researching, and then I'm like, oh wow, there's this whole religion. There's Ancestral, and there's this faith or this belief.
You mind if I interject real quick?
Yeah.
I just wanted to talk, just point this out real quick too. Before you get into this part of it, but you talked about that disconnect you had, man, and I remember for the longest time, like, God, I wanted that so badly.
You wanted to
with Christianity. Yeah, like when I tried so hard, man. Like I was raised, I was born, my dad's from Jersey, right? My mom's from South Georgia. So, but they got married in South Carolina, So, but I was born Catholic. I was like crescent and stuff, but
I was baptized. I just found my baptism certificate.
Yeah.
Just the other day.
Yeah. And then I got baptized as a kid. And then in my adulthood, I got baptized again. Like in high school, I was at like a girlfriend's church, and I was like, I'm going to get baptized. And I just kept trying. And then even in the military, I used to go to the church by myself, a non-denominational one, and I got baptized, and I was like, I want to have that connection, man, because there's so much more to this. Yeah. But I could never feel it. I don't know, man. I just expected it, I guess, to be like this fire.
Like some sort of like lightning strikes you and you're, all of a sudden something new changes.
Yeah. Like, I don't know. I didn't feel that connect. Like, and, yeah, dude. And I was just constantly searching, like, why don't I feel that? And I tried to pray and talk, and there's just something wasn't there, and I think listening to you talk, I felt you felt like that similar thing, right? You're like,
yeah, I couldn't really tell like why I was feeling this way. I just knew that I felt it.
Yeah,
I don't know why this is happening, but it is, and how do I figure this out?
And you go through a lot of internal battle with that, because you're like, why can't I get it? Like other people seem to get it. Yeah, seems to click with them. What am I doing wrong? Mm-hmm. But I also think it's beautiful because you're like, it's forcing you inward.
Yes.
And fast forward to now, like, which is crazy. But like, I'm so devoted to my path. Mm-hmm. Someone asked me, like, do you think you know Christ? And I said, what's interesting is I think I probably know him better than I ever have.
Yeah. Right.
At this point in my life.
Yeah. The archetype, if you will, or
yes.
That, yeah.
Yeah. It's very interesting. Like I'm closer to him than I ever been, yet I don't follow him in that way maybe, but yeah. So it's just interesting, but, yeah, I just want to tell you, I feel you on that disconnect, and it's hard because that conviction, and you're like, dude, I'm going to burn in hell. Like people.
Yeah. You've been indoctrinated to think a certain way and to believe a certain thing. And even when I walked away from it, I didn't like stop believing everything that I was raised in. Not everything.
Yeah.
I was challenging it, and I was, I guess a bit, in a way I was defying some of it, I was kicking against the pricks, as one of the Bible verses say, when Paul was on the road to Damascus, he was still Saul, right?
Yeah.
And he gets this sign from God or whatever. And he gets told, yeah, hard for you to kick against the pricks.
Yeah.
He was a stubborn SOB, and so was I. But when I realized that there was this faith of Northern European descent, I'm like, well, that's me. I get that, because it's ancestral, I get, and I didn't. It wasn't quite like a big revelation of it at the time. I just, wow, this is interesting, and I'm starting to feel a connection with this. So let me pursue that.
Yeah.
Let me start learning about. Because obviously, what's on the TV and what's in, Hollywood or whatever, it's glamorized and it's made to look a certain way because it needs to appeal to a crowd.
Yeah.
But it was a seed, and the seed that got planted for me to start doing research and learning. And then that was where the whole journey for me started, where I am now. And like when I talk about it on my podcast or when I'm talking to other people, I'm like, yeah, I'm not the same. It's been 10 years, and obviously we should all be growing and evolving, but I'm not the same person I was 10 years ago when I first started. I'm not even the same heathen.
Yeah.
I don't, some of the ways that I practice my stuff is not the same as it once was. I don't observe certain things that I did at one point in time.
Yeah.
But I don't feel guilty about it anymore. It's not like we don't have this dogma, and there might be certain aspects of paganism and heathenry that might be considered dogmatic, quote unquote, but we don't have this like book of instructions. But if you do this, you're going to
growing. And I think with that growth, things are going to change. Like if you're intentional about what you believe in, it shouldn't stay the same. I think as you grow as an individual, as you become closer to that spiritual, to God, whatever avenue that is, there's going to be a change in all those things, right? I think that's just natural. Like
it is that, and that's absolutely where my growth has led me to, is the aspect of nature.
Yeah.
And okay, so this tree that starts out as a seed doesn't stay a seed. It eventually sprouts from the ground, and it spends so much time in darkness.
Mm-hmm.
And then people people want to sort of demonize the dark and make it this terrible thing, and to go towards the light. Like you have to. There is good time spent in darkness.
Yes,
is where you grow, is where you are nurtured. And then so then when you sprout, when that seed sprouts, it's vulnerable. It's needing to soak up all these nutrients. It's needing to become the sapling that can bend and move when storms and all that come through without dying. But guess what? That sapling also doesn't stay that way. It eventually grows into this deeply rooted, broad canopy, thick trunk, mighty oak. But it didn't happen overnight. It took a long time. It took a lot of storms. It took a lot of bad shit to happen for it to get to that.
And it had to weather those things.
And it had to weather those things. And it had to endure.
Yes.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
God damn. It's so applicable to life too, man. I can like feel exactly what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's an amazing thing.
And I think once we realize that that's what we are, because we are nature. You just look at the scientific sides of things. You can't deny that when you see our eyes, the irises, the pupils, everything. I mean, it's like looking into the universe, the stars and everything. And when you see the vessels in your lungs, like what does that look like? It looks like a root system.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so we mirror nature.
We're so deeply connected to it.
Yeah, because we are that. Yeah. And to deny it and to ignore it, it's like pulling a tree out of its roots and just tossing it away. There's nothing for it to continue its life, and that was that disconnect. I was so far. I was trying to reach so far out to find connection that I forgot that I had to reach within.
It's right there.
It's right here this whole time.
It's right within you. Yes. And like when you're in nature and you're like intentional about it too, like you see God in that.
Yeah.
And then you realize, well, like I'm nature too. Well, then God's within me. You realize it, Yeah.
And then all this doctrine that I was raised in, when, Jesus tells his disciples, you are God's. Oh, I get it now.
Well, I have a belief, and I talked about this with my mentor, and he looks at, he's Christian, but he looks at it a totally different way than traditionally. And we talked about this, but when he said, I am the way, the truth, and the light, no, there's no way through the Father through me. Like, I believe, I do a lot of Bible study, that he was talking to people like, hey, you're supposed to read it from like almost like a first person perspective. Like, I am the way, the truth, and the light.
Oh, first person.
Like, that light is within me. There, like, I can't, you get what I'm saying? It's like walk the walk. That light is within you. That's how you reach God. It's not through, something external, right? Like, it's, you get what I'm saying? I'm trying to word right there. And a lot of people may not agree, but that's just my perspective off of my studies with it, and also in correlation with what I believe in as well. And I realized that like we had that light within us. Mm-hmm. That's where we need to focus. That's how we grow. That's how we truly connect with God in whatever way it is.
Yeah. What was ironic about it all is that when the math wasn't, it wasn't. But once it did, it was. Like, the math started math, and when I applied that, I don't know when things actually switched. It wasn't like a conscious effort on my part. I think there was some consciousness to it. You know what I mean? Like, I had to be present in my growth to realize that I got to do my thing. I got to go forth, and I got to, one of the things that really helped me realize that I was on the right path, and one of the things that kind of opened me up to that was being introduced to plant medicine.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that.
Because like I was on a path, I was on my journey, and I mean, it's, the one doesn't necessarily play with the other by design, but they, I'm on this path that's very nature based. I'm in the woods a lot. That's where I grew up. My childhood, I was always, I didn't play video games. I didn't want to go to the mall. I didn't want to watch movies. I wanted to, shoot my bow. I wanted to go climb trees. I wanted to, play with my swords and, be a nerd like that way, and be out in the woods and until it was dark, until I had to come home. And then, I'm in this path, spiritually and in a faith way that is very close to that. We don't go to church to speak to our gods, or to whatever version of that is. We go to nature. We are in the woods, we're at the lake, we're in, the creeks, we're by the river, whatever, we're in nature.
My wife, her first midsummer, they were kind of a part of it, and she saw we were all had our hands on this tree that we had, that was basically, we made the maypole and everything, right?
Nice.
And but at the end of the ritual, you were chanting runes into it, and we got inside. She was like, I just don't know. Like, I just saw my boyfriend praying to a tree. She didn't know what to think of it. I was like, let me break this down for you. That's nature. That is a part of God. But that right there is the center of our universe at that moment. That is what we are projecting to the heavens.
Yeah.
I had to make it simplified a little bit. Just like if you go to church, like when you congregate and you pray together, that is that energy flowing upward, right?
Mm-hmm.
So made it make sense. But to her, we're just like,
it looks like some real, hippy dippy,
we got ash on our face and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, sorry to interrupt. I just wanted to point that out.
I love hearing about other people, because, I do this stuff with, talking about things to other people that I don't necessarily have face-to-face dealings with. And they're all, that's great. And they can maybe relate to the spoken word of it. But when I'm like in other people's presence that are doing those things, it is like, I love hearing about it. So I love hearing your side of things.
I appreciate it. Yeah, dude, likewise. Hell yeah.
But I was definitely not into, I had no idea, no understanding about anything to do with plant medicine and its application or whatever. I just heard, party stories that, I just had a really bad trip, and, I'm talking to trees and I'm trying to, put quarters into thinking it's a vending machine, or like wacky stuff.
Yeah. But it's not a party thing.
No.
It's a tool.
I mean, to me, I refer to, them as, it's medicine.
Yeah.
And you don't take medicine all the time. Medicine is for, you need healing. And it's not the thing that heals you, it's the tool that helps you in the healing process. It teaches you certain things on what to do and how to work internally and how to work with yourself to heal.
Yes, sir.
It unlocks those things that you're kind of blind to, or that have been, tucked away so far for whatever reason, whether it's, trauma or our own stubbornness or just whatever. And so like that first experience, it was only like, I've been doing this heathen thing for about 10 years. And my first experience with plant medicine was only within the last 5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
it was a jump in the deep end, sink or swim scenario. It was not gentle. It was not, ease into this whole thing. It was, here's about 6 grams of penis envy and good luck, kind of,
go have fun,
go to town. And the good thing about it, right? I was in a very familiar place. I was in nature, first of all.
Yeah.
It was in a dear friend of mine, his parents' backyard up in the woods in Lewisburg.
Okay.
And they call it a vey, or a grove.
Yeah, vey. Yeah.
So you're familiar.
Yeah, of course.
It's our sacred place.
When we go do rituals, we got to go to the vey. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So we had, and I'd spent time out there before this, so I'd become familiar with the land, the spirits of that land. We've been introduced.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And we've camped out there. We've, prepared the land for rituals prior to doing it. So it was a familiar place. It was a happy place, I guess. And but it was like November. And the plan was, we're going to get out here and we're going to take the medicine and we're going to camp for the night. So we had our tents and all that set up. But again, it's, mid-November, I think. It was right around my birthday, so like first week or 2 of November, and it got down that night. I'll never forget. It got down to like the 20s.
Yeah.
But like we start with the medicine right around about an hour before sunset.
Okay. Was it just you, or you with
me and 2 other guys? So
okay.
The guy the property, his parents' property, it was him, and then another gentleman who's a mutual, brother of ours.
Yeah.
Dear friend. They've known each other since high school, and I've known this guy for, at this point now, I've known him for a little over 10 years too.
Okay.
So, we had, history there, and they'd both been experienced with the medicine before. I'd never been. And they got like literally one of the strongest strains of psilocybin mushrooms that you can get. They're, you can't, again, it's not gentle.
No.
They're aptly named. It keeps you up all night.
But good point.
So again, I'm like, well, what about, I'm asking all these questions, and what's going to happen, and we'll call him Dingo because that's what I know him as. He the nickname's Dingo. He's like, I'll tell you a little bit. He's like, but just don't worry about it. Stop trying to figure this out, because that's not how this works.
Yeah.
That's not what this is going to do for you.
Embrace the unknown.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That mystery, one of the things about like the Nordic poetry, Yggdrasil, or Odin hangs from the tree, and but like that one line of that poem, I know that I hung from a windy tree 9 long days and nights, the roots from which no one knows. There's this abyss. There's this, the roots go so deep, no one knows. And we went there, man. Like it was, the sun started to set. The sun was kind of gleaming through the trees and sparkling through the trees.
Mm.
And I'll never forget seeing like the effects, the visual effects that the medicine have, and seeing nature in that glamour, in that splendor.
Oh my God.
I was beside myself, like laughing, almost crying, but like, I can't believe that this is this.
Yeah.
Seeing it through that lens and seeing it through those eyes.
It comes alive in a whole different way.
Oh, the dance is the way just everything becomes one.
Yeah.
And you're part of it. Like you're like one with it too. And I'm just like,
it feels like it's embracing you.
Oh, it's the best hug.
Oh my gosh.
It's the best.
Yes.
And then, of course, obviously the sun is setting and it's getting dark. And then, so we have a fire going. We already had the fire going, and then I'll never forget, like, it's dark. I'm giddy. I'm feeling everything. I'm seeing, the forest, the woods are alive in their way. And I remember like looking out into the trees and seeing what looked to me like a staircase. Now it's this area is essentially it's the side of a limestone ridge. So it does go uphill.
Yeah.
But it's dark, you know what I mean? And all we have is campfire light. So between that and the medicine, it gave a perception to me of a stairway or stairs.
Yeah.
And it was a beautiful, clear night. The moon was out. So there's this blue kind of cobalt hue to the landscape, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And it's cold, so things are starting to frost, and it's like stars. And then with the trees and everything starts to form runic symbols. And it's like they're being projected towards me, and I'm like, I'm going to go walk that way. Yeah. I'm going that way, you know? So I go off into the woods.
Yes.
Which wasn't far from the campfire, but I remember, like, they didn't follow me. Dingo and our buddy, like, they were still dealing with this themselves in their way, but we were also connected in that way, because I remember being outside of what should have been earshot. Like, I couldn't, but I knew, like, they were calling me. Like, they were like, hey, man, you're going too far. Like, get back here.
Yeah.
You know, kind of thing. And I'm like, okay, all right, whatever. So I'm like roaming around, and then I get to this point where, like, I turn around and I see the campfire, but I couldn't move. I was like frozen. And I remember standing there like, now what do I do? How do I get back? Because the campfire, that's home to me, you know?
Yeah.
Now I'm stuck out here. How do I get back? Dingo comes up to me, grabs my hand, and like a child, holds me by the hand and walks me back to the campfire. And he brings me back there, and he said, now, always remember, you can go out there, you can explore, but never forget your way back home.
Yeah.
And that always stuck with me. You know, you can go out and you can find different things, you can learn different things, you can explore, you can even get lost a little bit.
Yeah.
But never forget your way back home. Yeah. Always know where home is. Yeah. And home for me was that fire. And that fire became something later that year, later that month, actually. That fire became something that became more than just a literal fire. It was like an internal flame, you know, this fire that I carry with me, that goes with me wherever I go. And like I said, I think we talked, before about, what tradition is and how it's not the worship of ashes, it's the preservation of fire. And what does that fire mean? It's, sometimes it dims, sometimes it glows bright, sometimes it's just embers, but it's alive. You
keep it alive.
You keep it alive, and it's through your deeds and how you act and what you do. And the medicine taught me that. The medicine opened me up to that realization, that seeing nature behave and act in its natural way, and it's getting a glimpse into that side of things. Dude. It changed me forever. Like, it changed me. I was never the same thereafter. One of the funniest things about it, like, I got back from that trip, and I'm like days went by, and I'm at the gas station. I get gas in my car or something, and I'm like I got my debit card or whatever in my hand to pay at the little keypad that they have at the counter.
Yeah.
And I what do I do with this? Like, I blanked. There's like dirt, I just shut down. Like, my body didn't know what to do with this thing in my hand. And I'm like, okay, this is life now, or
You're like, listen, I'm a woods man.
Yeah, I'm
Teach me your ways.
I speak for the trees. One with the Lorax.
Yeah, dude, I love the Lorax. Such a good movie. Gosh, thank you for bringing that up. I might have to put that one on. I watch those kind of movies all the time. I mean, I got a 2.5-year-old, but I love those kind of
secretly, it's for you. It's not for the 2.5.
Oh yeah, I definitely put on, I'll be like, oh, you want to watch this one? Now kind of go, yeah.
Please, let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it. So funny. Dude, that is a very powerful experience, man. Just so deeply spiritual, but also so deeply human at the same time. You can't replicate those things. A lot of people have a certain perception of that stuff, and you talked about the spiritual connection that brings and what it made you realize, especially with that fire. I think that's such a cool connection there as well. Always come back home, but keep that alive.
Yeah.
And that's it's so relatable to me. I've thought about that. I told you a little bit about that experience I had in 2021 when I went and did that heavy trip.
Mm-hmm.
I was going through some stuff. I was like, dude, I was at rock bottom.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm going all in. So I took 7 grams or whatever. Yeah, of course. I had a bag of pot too. And people still call it pot. I don't know. I had a couple of bottles of wine and a pack of cigarettes, right? And I had the spot at this fire, and I took them at like 4 p.m. So it was still pretty light out. Man, I was so emotional. I was like touching moss and plants, and I was crying. I was so happy, connected with nature, but I was also feeling everything I've been going through, and also a lifetime worth of shit.
Oh yeah.
And like snot was coming out of my nose. I remember, but I felt so comforted. Like you said, it was like that hug by the nature. I felt so comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was like this warm embrace by that fire. And I remember at one point, still light out, I was like, I took all my clothes off. I was just laying there naked next to the fire, just sprawled out. And I was like staring at the sky. I was just like, crying. But it was like, that's what something told me, like, just like be naked,
free. Yeah.
And so I did that. And, but it was a really, I worked through a lot of stuff that night, man. I ended up like talking to myself on my phone. I set it up, just having a conversation. Wow, really? Yeah. I have it all on video.
Did you set it up before the medicine took hold? It had to have. Or no?
There was one point when it got darker that I decided to set it up against like the speaker. And I just had OC and Jupiter playing on like repeat, all the music.
Oh, yeah.
And so that took me through different emotional waves. Just that music connected with the woods. There was some that was like emotional, but some of it got kind of dark. Mm-hmm. So I'd feel something different. It was very intense. And now I want to say this, fast forward to a year later, I think my wife was pregnant at the time, and there's a place I go to off of, it's about an hour 15 from Murfreesboro.
Like towards Chattanooga or towards?
There's a town called Grootley Lager. And there's a place you can, what state park is it? State Park. I
think I know the general area.
I'll look it up. This is the spot though.
Is it?
Because there's a trailhead you go to that's like a half a mile, right? Mm. And then there's a campsite. It's like a primitive kind of, there's like 5 spots you can camp. But you can rent all 5 spots for like $70 for a night.
Yeah, man, I need to know about this place.
Yes, and there's a cliffside. So you get a cliff of the whole valley, dude.
Okay.
Yeah, and then there's a trail that goes down to a waterfall and follows the river down, goes all the way across the park. But it's super private. And so I brought my stuff out there.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is going to be a yearly thing. It's time to do work,
Mm-hmm.
Just go do work.
Yep.
So I went there with the intention of having to do all this work. And I remember, eating the mushrooms, and it was a chocolate bar, and it was like 4 grams. 4 grams going to hit you, dude. And I'm on this cliffside, then all of a sudden, like all these trees, they just start moving together. It was beautiful. I remember like holding on to this tree that's like right at the cliff, and I'm just like I got a cigarette in one hand, a bottle of wine in the other, and I'm just like, oh my God, I start tearing up. I'm like, this is so beautiful. And then I made my way back over to the fire at my spot, and the cliff's like right around the corner, and I had my hammock set up and stuff, and it was really cold. It was probably like 30 something, and I was all layered up. And I just remember like standing by the fire, and I started just chanting. One thing I chant every day is the Gayatri mantra. It's a Vedic chant, but I started chanting runes and just, I don't know, whatever was flowing out. Mm-hmm. And it was like, I remember telling myself, I'm not cold. I just think I'm cold. So I took my shirt off, I took my jacket off, and I'm just standing there like, just chanting, right? And I'm at this fire, and I got my pants on, and then I remember looking into the woods, and I was like, I can see. I was like, I have night vision.
Yeah, you do.
I was like, I'm a fucking werewolf. So I took my pants off and my shoes, and I'm there in my underwear. And dude, I just like take off in the woods, dude. I'm running wild. I'm like, I am a werewolf. And I remember working my way down towards where the cliff was, and the moon was glaring down so you could see. And I was just like, like howling, dude. And I was laughing at the same time. And like when I'm running through the woods, there'd be like a tree branch, and like my night vision helped me see it that I had. And I was like dodging it, and like,
right.
And I finally got back to the fire, and I was like, I didn't have nothing to work on. I said, I am free. I am free. And that's what that was. It's not so much about me becoming a werewolf, but like to me, a werewolf almost embodies that freedom, that just like animal instinct.
The wild the wild gets lets loose.
Dude, it was powerful, bro. Like it was such a powerful time.
Yeah.
Like I called my brother Jake the next day and I was like, dude, this happened to me here. Like it was insane. And we've all like, you know, a couple of us have gone to that same spot at different times to do our own solo trips, right? I'll have to tell you, I'll have to let you know where it's at, but
yeah, definitely.
It's crazy how like there's changes come too, you know, how it, you know, evolves. Like you don't know what it's going to be. Like I expected to have to work on some hard shit, but like I realized like, dude, I'm free, man. I'm good.
That's, you know, and that's the beautiful thing about the medicine to me is that, you know, I mean, I'm 40 years old. I've gotten drunk. I've smoked pot. I've gotten high off of that. Like I know what I'm going to feel like on that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And I pretty much know, right? It's the same thing almost every time.
Yeah.
Mushrooms. It's never the same thing twice. You're never going to get the same lesson twice from those lovely little things, man. They do something that nothing else does. And you know, I had a trip one time that was right after my mom died last year. So she died on Father's Day of last year.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that. You know, you lost both your parents.
Yep. So my dad was, you know, April 16th, 2023. And then mom was June 16th, 2024. So a year and 2 months apart, you know.
April 6th is my birthday.
The 6th?
Yeah.
Yeah, he died on the 16th.
Oh, yeah, you said 16th.
Yeah,
okay.
Right. But he, and he's, you know, so they, the year that my mom died, I knew about my dad's failing health in advance, you know what I mean? And even though they were in New York and I was in here in Tennessee, I was, you know, his passing was a very long, drawn out and slow process.
Yeah.
So when it happened, it was, there's trauma there, you know, it hurts, but I also knew about it. When my mom passed away, I had no idea that she was in any sort of decline of health. When it happened, like she fell ill over the fall, winter of 2023, then had this like persistent cough. When she fell sick on a Wednesday in June, she died that Sunday. It was that quick.
Oh my God.
And so I didn't know nothing about it. I got a phone call from my aunt. I'm laying in bed laid up with a migraine. I get a phone call and I didn't have her number in my phone. I just get this, I'm like squinting at my phone, like, what is this number calling me? And I couldn't recognize it. And then, so I didn't answer. But then for some reason I like could see the number and I go, wait, that's a New York area code. So everybody that I know in New York or that I, you know, have is in my contacts is labeled as such. I'm thinking, so I call her back. She said, and mom died. And I'm like, all of a sudden my headache gone. Like I was laid up in bed, couldn't barely open my eyes. I heard that and it was like headache gone. And so, I was invited out to, I go every year to North Carolina, to the Blue Ridge Mountains of Appalachia. And there's a men's retreat that I go to every year out there. Well, it's been in the fall for the last 5 years. This year is going to be the first time that we don't do it in the fall. But last year I got invited out to a seasonal camp during the summer, the week after my mom died. So like there was no point in me going to New York at that point to do anything. Everything was already settled.
Yeah.
But I had like a week, that following week I was in North Carolina, same location as the annual men's retreat, but it was a co-ed kind of camp, but it was for work. You know what I mean? We were there to take medicine. We were there to do work. And it was, I was so mad. I remember before going on that trip, I remember being so mad that nobody told me about mom getting sick, that I didn't get a chance to prepare. I wasn't even given the chance to make plans to be in New York if I wanted to,
or even just tell her you loved her
or anything. Yeah, there's none of that. And I remember being so mad about it. I was angry. I was angry at some family. I was angry at myself. You know what I mean? Like I was just going through the whole anger phase of this loss.
And between both of those losses too, I mean, that kind of grief does change a person.
Yeah.
You know?
And I was with my dad, it was a little bit different. I had gone through my own processes of healing with that and coming to terms with things. But with Mom, it was a totally different type of loss. It was a totally different feeling of loss.
How did that impact you?
I was bitter. I was bitter about it. And I remember I'll get in front of a camera and I'll just record sometimes without intending to publish anything. That's kind of like me journaling.
Yeah. So you talk to journal?
I do. I at least at this point, I was like, I need to just vent. I don't want to talk to anybody and unload on anybody, but I need to unload. And I'd like to journal it that way to video myself. That way I can replay it and see what I was going through at the time, kind of a bit of like a reflection, looking in the mirror kind of thing. And I remember recording this video right before talking about it, saying I'm so pissed off, right? I'm mad. I'm, this and that. And I know I'm also going to Appalachia. And I remember sitting there going like, what am I going to be learning on this trip? What am I there to learn? And I remember reflecting, I was going, I've been to Appalachia so many times already. I've been happy. I've been sad sometimes, but I've never been angry in Appalachia.
Yeah.
And I go, so maybe that's what this is about. Maybe it's about me being angry in Appalachia or finding this anger in Appalachia. Because, but we talked a bit earlier about just the power and this of spirit that exists in that landscape out there. It's how old it is and how powerful it is and stuff. And I remember just going, man, I've never been angry out there. So I thought that trip out to this seasonal camp, this summer camp, that the medicine was going to teach me that. And at the same time, I'm also in the back of my mind going, that's not how this works, bub. This is not how this works. You can't plan how the medicine's going to treat you. It's just going to do what it's going to do. And when I got out there and we get into the work of things, none of it included anger. It was nothing but love. It was the counter of anger. It was this joy. It was this love. It was this, you got nothing to be mad about. Not this. This is nothing to be angry. This is nothing to let yourself become so consumed with bitterness about that it destroys you.
Yes.
Because that's where it was. And it was a wild thing to think about the timing of it all. Because obviously I wouldn't have known that Mom died when she did, but I had the trip planned since earlier that year. So I already knew, months ahead that's where I was going. And then a week before I go, this happened. Mom died.
Wow.
But that was like, it was a fresh feeling of what I was feeling and going out there to Appalachia and taking that medicine and working through it gave me that peace, gave me that lesson that you can feel what you're feeling. Don't run from it. Don't ignore it.
Yeah.
Don't feel shame when you're feeling these things. Because I think some people, at least I have it, go through certain emotional trials and feel like, especially as a man, you know what I mean? Like you're like, I don't want to cry. I don't want to feel this. That's not manly. Right? Go toughen up or whatever.
That's
deal
a
with
huge
it.
Subject on here. Yeah,
I know. I've seen some of it, and I go, "Oh man, he's hitting those nerves, boy. He's hitting those.
Feel
those
your
points."
shit,
and you do. You can't. You have to deal with it. You have to confront it, and it's okay. Don't feel shame about it.
Well, I think a lot of that's based off not only conditions for men, but I think a lot of it does come from childhood. When we express our emotions, maybe when we're very little, like a toddler. Mm-hmm. When we lash, like you're a toddler and you lash out and you get mad and you throw something. It's like parents typically, because they're like, oh, they're two. You spank them or whatever. And I'm not knocking how people parent, but one thing I've learned for me and how I parent my daughter is, when she flips out and is having a tantrum, she doesn't know what the fuck's going on up here. She's just feeling it.
Yeah.
That's all she knows, but she doesn't know why she's feeling that way. So I sit there and I'm like, listen, it's okay to feel that. Now you can't hit or you can't throw things. We can't react that way, but feel it.
Yeah.
I try to communicate that to her and,
response over react.
Yes. Like feel your emotions, because I want her to get older and be okay with feeling those things and not feel shame in those things. Mm-hmm. That's going to help her grow through things a lot more efficiently. Does that make sense?
Oh, for sure. And like one of the things that that particular experience taught me about anger is that it is okay to be angry at times, but it's how you process it and how you deal with it, and why are we angry? Why? And it you're not going to figure this stuff out unless you're confronting it, unless you're sitting with it.
Anger's a mirror.
It's a mechanism that happens when we're afraid, when we're hurt.
Mm-hmm.
We're hurt about something. So anger is a natural reaction to that pain. It's like a defense. It's, I'm hurting so badly that I need to be, because think about it. When wild animals become aggressive, right? It's most of the time, unless it's like a vying for a mate or territory.
Yeah.
When animals get aggressive, why is it? It's because they're afraid.
Yeah.
So fear is the root of our anger. What are we afraid of? What is causing us to feel so
true
hurt that we have to get angry about it?
Yes.
So don't run from that. Face it. Let that in and sit with it.
Because where does that stem from truly?
Where's the root?
That's where it comes back to the mirror aspect, right? Like, why are you triggered? Why are you angry about this thing?
Yep.
Like, it's okay to feel that, but look at it. What about you can you overcome or work on in order to grow past that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
that's been a big thing. I've been going through a lot of that this year. So like, I've had to focus on where a lot of freaking angers come from, man.
A lot of mirrors.
I wanted to bash some skulls, and I realized, like, dude, that's me.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
It's because everybody that has triggered that emotion, they've been mirrors.
Yeah.
And I've had to go back to things from childhood and stuff that I didn't even realize. I mean, I can get into that another time, but yeah, so like, where does it stem from? It's okay to feel it, but like when you fester, that's the problem. When you allow to like build within you,
if you're not dealing with it, like you say, the mirrors and stuff, it's a house of mirrors at times, like all these reflections. And if you don't address it, it stews, it kind of rots, and it becomes a problem that then it stinks, and then you got to deal with that, and it's not good. It's not healthy. But it's also not easy.
No,
it's not easy to deal with that stuff, man. You gotta become uncomfortable.
You gotta be vulnerable
and actually let down that facade or that feeling of, I've got this. No, man, sometimes we don't. Sometimes we just don't got it.
Yeah.
And it's okay.
Yeah. Sometimes we just need some freaking help.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's okay too.
I was talking to some friends of mine about that, about healing, and how like there's this, I don't know if you've seen it, but like there's this problem, I guess you will, with people treating like healing as if it's like 10,000 plus healing points, and I'm this great healer, but you're not actually doing anything. You're just like this echo box of information. You're not doing anything to heal. You're just pretending like you're treating it like it's a game almost. And I know that's not really like the intent of some people.
And you almost like to call yourself such, like you're a healer.
Yeah. Yeah. But are you really? Are you, because what does it mean to heal, right? If people, first of all, when it comes to healing, we have to do the work ourselves. And when I talk about like plant medicine or any of the other things that can help with that, the medicine's not healing you. You heal you. We heal ourselves. Those things are tools that can help you get to a point of that realization of, I'm doing the work. But you got to do the damn work. You can't let other people do the work for you. But there are times when, through our healing, other people are involved, or we're involved with other people. So, it's not just about, here's the tools, now figure out how to use them. No, I'm going to teach you. I'm going to show you how to use these tools. I'm going to teach you how to apply this. But you've got to actually do the work yourself. I can't do it for you. We can't do it for each other. Like,
man.
We still ultimately are the ones responsible for it.
But that's why a lot of this platform, man, is, I talk about it being a platform for healing. I'm not ever going to be claimed to be a healer. I just focus on healing of myself. But one thing I've learned is, to your point, one of the biggest aspects of the healing is talking about it. And when people come in here and they're vulnerable and they're talking about their story and they're sharing, they're being vulnerable, they're healing, man. So to allow, give people a voice to do that, well, that just enables other people the opportunity. People that view it, they're like, man, I'm going through something like that, or I'm facing this similar adversity. None of our path is even similar, but I relate to that.
Yeah.
And they're healing through it. And that opens a doorway to help people heal. It's a trickle effect, right? It's a beautiful thing.
Sure. Yeah. They did that. So I could do that. If they
yeah.
can do it, I can do it.
Yeah. And then I've had a lot of guests come on and be like, dude, that was part of my healing journey. Like, thank you for letting me be on your show. And I'm like, dude, that moves me so much.
Yeah. It makes it worth it.
Oh my God. It makes all the freaking struggle worth it, bro. It almost puts me into tears.
Yeah.
Because it's such a good feeling, like, just to have the opportunity to be able to create that kind of vessel for people to, like, take steps forward.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a beautiful thing.
When you have a platform or a voice and you create a space, you know, I recognize that, you know, I've felt that. And sometimes I feel like I'm just talking to nobody, you know, especially when it's like a solo thing, because I don't have guests all the time. A lot of times I don't, you know, sometimes I'm just looking into a camera and talking to, at the time, you know, nobody, and there's no guarantee of how many people it's going to hit, if you know what I mean. So you never, and I've got caught up in that aspect of this path of mine too, because so much of not a lot of people, well, I wouldn't say not a lot, but enough people keep their spirituality, their path in life very private, and rightly so. You know, you don't want to open up a lot to strangers. But I've, you know, part of my path, part of my journey has been, there's a degree of transparency. You know, a lot of my audience knows things about what I've been going through because I've used the platform as a sort of therapist. You know what I mean? Like I've talked openly and freely, maybe not being super revelatory or whatever, not getting into minute details, but being transparent enough. And the response I get sometimes is it's humbling to hear people say, like, man, what you just said there, or what you talk about there, like it hits a nerve, or I needed to hear that. And I go, I have no idea. You know, you just don't know what people are going through.
That's really cool, man. Well, I mean, and that you talk about that transparent. I mean, one thing I want my brand to stand for is just pure authenticity. But that's like the highest level, energetic level, you know, is like authenticity. So it's a lifetime pursuit.
Yeah, being real.
Yeah. But to do so, if I wanted to embody that, then like I would tell people all the time, like, I'm just like, I cut it open and let it bleed out, dude. I mean, I did a whole series one week because I did some work with a friend of mine. She does this thing called Evox treatment. I'll tell you about that. But I put these written pieces out about me being molested as a kid and confronting that and like what I went through at that time, but what I've seen, that inner child of myself, the control that little boy had on me today, like my anger and stuff. I talked about that. Like that's a lot of that stems from that moment. I didn't even realize it. I didn't know, 8-year-old Joe or whatever had so much control over how I reacted or how I didn't go after things or my fear of rejection and stuff. But when I put that out there, man, I'm practicing what I preach, right? Like I wanted to be authentic. There you go. That's pretty vulnerable. But also like the people reaching out saying like they went through something like that and like, oh, their kid went through something like that. And, they'd love to get me connected or whatever. It's just like, it really means a lot to people, man. So it takes a massive level of vulnerability, but at the same time, like,
courage.
Yeah. And it helps you grow.
Right. Well, you said something that made me think, have you ever thought about, I can't remember where I heard it first, or who I heard it from, or where I saw it, but it's something along the lines of, you are the person today that your childhood version would feel safe with. And that got me thinking, like, am I that? Like, or are we that? Like the things that we go through, and everybody goes, through different things. But I mean, some of the stuff you just talked about, man, that's, to talk about it on a podcast or in front of a stranger, for all intents and purposes, you don't know me really. Like we talk back and forth on email, but to be like, yeah, this happened. like, damn, like that's courageous, I think, and it should be acknowledged as such. Like, it's, to be vulnerable is courageous, but to become the person that you are, that child that went through those things would feel safe with your version of you today.
I appreciate that, man. You saying that goes back to that Evox treatment. I was able to go back to that time, man. It was so vivid, and I was able to see myself walking out of that house changed. And I was able to, and I was being guided through it through my friend Hannah. And I was able to literally sit next to him and put my arm around him and show him pictures of like his beautiful wife and daughter one day, and like the things he gets to do with his life. And dude, I just started pouring tears. I was crying so hard.
I'm feeling that coming on myself just hearing you talk about it.
And I was like, and all I could think was, it's going to be okay. And dude, from that day, I've taken my younger self by the hand, and now I get to walk him back through life and have his back. Bro, talk about some healing shit.
That's powerful.
I can't, I never would have thought. So, yeah, man. I mean,
for sharing that. That's amazing.
Yeah, I haven't really talked about it to that degree on the podcast yet. So thanks for bringing that out. It's just lined up beautifully. But yeah, man, I don't know. There's power in sharing it. Like, why do I gotta be ashamed of? A lot of people go through shit like that, dude. A lot of people have been through worse.
Yeah, some of my closest friends, like people who I've looked up to that have helped me in my journey, that are, I think we're more like peers now. But, like at one point in time, like I looked at them as a mentor, and then, or they looked at me as a mentor, and I'm like, no. But that's what they see you as, and now here we are, like sharing this journey together, doing our own thing, but having our own experiences, but also, the weird is being woven together. This tapestry is becoming a beautiful array of things.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
I love it, man. Yeah. I got to ask you a pretty vulnerable question regarding your parents, if you don't mind.
Yeah, not at all.
If you could say something to each of them today, what would you say?
Well, my dad, he loved, old classic rock and stuff, and he was a drummer, and but one of the songs that he would always, like, whenever it would play on the radio or he heard it and made him think of me, was "Simple Man" by Leonard Skinner. And the lyrics about, forget your lust of rich man's gold, right? Be a simple man. Like all the things that they talk about in the song, and, be someone you love to understand. And I guess what I would like to say to my dad now is, I get it. I'm a simple man. There's nothing complicated about me. I'm not trying to do anything that's more than just understand myself and my place in this crazy mixed up world. I think I would like to say that to him.
Hell yeah, man. That hits me, man. Because I've often thought of myself as complicated in the past, but then I realized I'm simply just trying to seek truth, bring about positive shit in the world. Like that's not complicated. That's pretty simple. And I say that because my mom says that exact same thing about that song in relation to me.
Really?
That song reminds her of me. And so it's really cool. Like the connection there. I'm like, whoa, because my mom's a big Skynyrd fan, I grew up on that, and she said, the song always makes me think of you.
Yeah.
And so that's beautiful, man. Yeah. The weird, dude.
It's weird. Weird's
getting weird in a good way.
Yeah. I'm digging it for sure. And Mom, she was it was interesting, I learned a lot. Both my parents were present in my life, and we had different relationships as such, but Mom raised us, you know what I mean? Like Dad was present, but in terms of who really was there with our upbringing, my sister and he was Mom. She was the disciplinarian, she was the teacher, she literally homeschooled us.
Yeah.
And everything else, she was the nurturer, the caretaker, and just all of the things that a mother is.
Yeah.
But she was also unapologetic about her convictions. She was to the very end, and that was one of the things that I had to struggle with about me following heathenry. you know, because one day she flat out asked me, she's like, what do you even believe in anymore? This is about 10 years ago. And I'm not going to lie to my mother. So I told her what I believed and, you know, that I'm a pagan. As you can imagine, right, being raised in Christianity and being, you know, around that went over about as well as you could expect. You know, it was like a flaming pile of shit that just, you know, you stepped in. It was terrible for her. You know, I was such a disappointment. I was such a, you know, how could you do this? And over the years, over the last 10 years before she passed, there was some healing that did take place. Like we were able to have connection. We were able to speak, at least, you know, like simply stuff, you know, nothing to do with anything of substance, but it always would come back, you know, you've lost your way. You need to find your way back to God and this and that. And I would try to, you know, just listen, let's not talk about it. Can't we just have a relationship without having to get into all that? But she was so devout in her faith. She was so resolute in her beliefs that it didn't matter whether her firstborn son or not. It didn't matter who it was, right? It was either this way or that way. Yeah. Now, there's an important lesson in that for me because life is not that way. Nature's not that way. There's so much happens that happens in the gray, you know?
Oh, yeah.
You can't deal in absolutes. There is no just, you know, left or right. Sometimes there's northwest. Sometimes
it's all gray.
It's all gray.
Yeah.
You know, so if all you're going to do is deal in absolutes, you're just limiting yourself. You're putting this ceiling on something that doesn't exist. It's limited. It's limiting. So in that way, one of the things that Mom taught me is that be strong in your truth, be strong in your convictions, but also realize that there's no ceiling to this. Don't live in this box of mentality. So like in a indirect sort of way, Mom taught me that, and I would, you know, I get it, Mom. You know, I get where you were coming from. I understand the spirit of where you came from, even though, you know, in your skin, in your, you know, physically limited existence, as we all have, you know, there was something to be learned there too. But I get it.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man. That's really cool insight on both ends. I appreciate you sharing that, man.
Thanks for asking.
Yeah, that's awesome. You talk about that, and there's definitely something to be appreciated about that, though. You know, that you're almost radical about it. Mm-hmm. And that's, to me, I appreciate in a way when people are very radical about what they believe in. They believe in so wholeheartedly that it does become extreme, which is very powerful, which is a good thing, you know. I see it within myself as something I'm still working through. I'm like, I still battle myself a lot because I'm very open-minded towards others and, you know, their walk and their experience. But personally, like, I'm very rigid. I'm extremely rigid. Mm-hmm. And it's good, but there's also that side to it that's like pushes me to a point that I don't need to go. Right? Does that make sense?
Yep. I've had a similar thing where, you know, dealing with others and with people, you know, and having this relationship that you share as like an extension of family, you have this idea of how it ought to work, and you try to run the show so much because you got this idea of how you think it ought to be, and then instead of being like, nope, we're a family here and we do things together, not, you know, this isn't a dictatorship.
Yeah.
You know, and I've actually lost some friends because of stuff like that. You know, my idea of what a tribe, quote unquote, or how a unit should operate was incorrect. I had to realize that. I was trying to, you know, be the one that, interestingly enough, the way I was raised before getting into heathenry, when I was still a kid in New York, you know, this whole church idea, this whole church like community was very authoritarian. You know, you had these leaders and then these people in positions of leadership that it was, you know, again, absolutes.
Yeah.
And without me even realizing it, you know, I picked up on that, and it influenced some of that worldview for me later on in life. So when I get into this heathenry thing and I start dealing with other people, it becomes this, well, we're going to do it this way, you know, and being very rigid about it and being very structured instead of understanding the spirit of it all, and then working together as a unit and working cohesively, you know, ehwaz, the working, you know, the team that works together to a common goal.
Yes.
You know, it's not, you know, I'm not driving this train. We're sharing in this burden together, and we're going together, supporting one another. So I had to learn that.
You reflected on the past, and you're like, wait, I kind of sound like them.
Yeah. No, when it hit me, I'm like, oh.
But that's part of what pushed you away. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Like I'm becoming the thing that I abhorred.
Man, that's a powerful thing to recognize as well. And I do wonder, because you said you it seems that you've become a voice that people kind of look towards, right? So like, obviously evolving past that and understanding that, how has that looked for you in your life now? Like, how do you look, if you are somewhat of a mentor to others that are in this path, what is that like,
So I didn't want to accept that for a while.
Yeah, like you don't like when people kind of treat you like a mentor. You're like, wait, no.
Yeah, no, I'm just a guy. First of all, I'm just a person. I'm a human being. Like, don't deify me. Don't put me up on a pedestal, because you're gonna be disappointed eventually at some point. Don't.
It's like Aragorn. Like,
yeah,
I don't want to be king.
Right. I'm just happy out here, doing the ranger thing and sitting in corners with a hood over my face, smoking my pipe, and I'm happy.
Yeah.
But how it looks for me now is embracing what people are saying. It's going, okay, well, if this is the truth, if this is their perception of things, if people are seeing what I'm doing and they're listening to what I'm saying, then damn it, I better be saying the right thing.
Yeah.
I better be upholding this obligation, this responsibility, and I better be taking it seriously.
Do you feel like, have you struggled with feeling like you're supposed to have like all the answers? Given that?
I've definitely been challenged to think that way. I pride myself a bit on being grounded enough to realize that I won't have all the answers all the time, or it's going to take me research, or it's going to require me to do work, or to connect with others, or to find the answer myself before providing the answer for somebody else. I'm aware of myself enough to know, like, I'm not going to have all the answers all the time, and that's okay. Just be real enough in that.
Oh yeah.
But because of that, because I know that I'm going to be presented with questions or asked about things, or looked to in a sort of guiding or mentoring way, is to equip myself in a way to be able to handle that, and to manage that, and to live with that, and to lead by deed, and to, it's not always what I say. I might not say a lot. I observe, and I watch, and I have a very strong connection to the heron in that way. The great blue heron is the spirit of that animal, the spirit of that creature is something that I've connected to in a very deep way.
Really cool.
And the wild thing about herons is they don't make a big splash. They don't create a big fuss. They're very still, and then they observe and they watch, and they don't say a whole lot, which is the irony of me being on a podcast and having a platform where I speak a lot, right? But sometimes the answers don't come through in verbal. Sometimes you just got to be quiet and watch, and there's your answer. Wow. The answer's in the silence.
That is cool. Yeah. The last thing I want to ask you with the mentorship aspect, right? Mm-hmm. When people follow someone like us or like you, what do you think they're looking for?
Yeah, I mean, I've spent a lot of time building what I do centralized around Germanic Heathenry. So I guess that, most of the time people that are following what I do are looking to learn more about that specifically, but in the interim, they're getting a taste of just who Jesse is.
Yeah.
I'm just a guy who decided to press record on a camera, 6 years ago and put videos on YouTube or Facebook or wherever. And it's, you're seeing more than just academic knowledge. This is an experience. This is an actual person living an experience and finding some connection in a cultural path that speaks to them. And I think hopefully what people are looking for is something like that for them.
Yeah, some guy, not to like necessarily replicate what you do.
Yeah.
Yeah, because again, this is your path, right?
Right.
you're going to have your way. So you're not going to sit there and be like, now this is how it needs to be done.
And I've never said that. I've never been the one to be like, all right, now that you're here, right, listen to what I say and do it this way. Yeah. I'll give examples, or I'll say, hey, based on this, that thing, or the other, this is what you could do.
Yeah.
But ultimately, man, like, it has to come from, like, the Spirit needs to speak to you to do it. Don't force it. Don't try to do something that just doesn't come to you naturally.
Spirituality comes from the heart.
It does, and it comes from that deeply rooted connection of whatever you want to call it, whether it's God or the gods or spirit or whatever, name you want to put to it. There's a common root.
Yeah. 100%.
And just find that common root through your path.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
I heard there's another big, like, heathen content creator who, he, like, every video he says, Ocean Keltoy. I don't know if you're familiar.
Mm-mm.
No. But anyway, he's been making content for quite a while, and at, like, the end of all his videos, his thing is find a way or make one. I think that's pretty cool, right? Some people operate very well and work very well with that hive mentality or being part of something else that they go along with, and it works for them, and they find fulfillment in that. But if you're constantly looking for something and somebody else to do it for you, I mean, I hate to tell you, but, like, you're gonna be running around lost and empty for the rest of your existence.
Yeah.
I mean, find fulfillment, find a way, find your way.
Yeah.
And then, spirit recognizes spirit, kind recognizes kind, right? Like, iron sharpens iron, whatever the phrase you want to put to it. You won't have to force relationships. Relationships will bloom naturally. They will grow, and you will have connection with those like minds and with that like views on things.
Yeah, man.
It comes naturally, it comes organically.
Hell yeah.
It comes when it's supposed to.
Exactly, man. And, also, like, the thought process of trying to, if you were to be, so you're someone that thinks it should just be this rigid way, like how I viewpoint things to be for everybody else, like, that's not going to connect anybody.
If anything, it pushes them away.
Yeah. And I think, like, a lot of people want people to believe what they do and how they do. And that's the hard thing, man.
Do you have an idea of why that is, though? Like, why people want others to think the way they think? I think it's me personally, I think it's because that person it has found fulfillment, and they want others to feel it, and they haven't reached a point of realization, like, oh, it's got to be them, it's got to be their version of what I'm feeling.
Yeah,
they want, like, I want Joe to feel what Jesse's feeling, but it's not Jesse's way. It's not Joe's experience. It's not Jesse's experience that Joe is feeling. It's Joe's experience that Joe is feeling.
Because I feel it too. Just
right.
Maybe
I'm not trying to make
way.
you do it my way. And you're not making me do it your way. We're doing it. We're feeling it, but in our own ways. So I think some people are maybe trying to get that feeling on others because it feels so good for themselves, and it's like, but do it my way because this is how I'm feeling. I don't know. Maybe that's
maybe they
that's
can't.
Part of it
is maybe they feel that, like, well, because they feel so good with where they're at, like, how could you feel this good any other way? Like, go this direction.
Yeah.
When it's like, that's not how it's supposed to work, man. We're all individuals.
Yeah.
We're all different, man.
Exactly.
Like, everything within us, like, mechanically, our body, everything within us is different, man. So, like, this and this, like, that heart isn't going to be the same, man.
Yeah, what's beautiful is when it does click, when people of differing, when different people can come together and be so connected without it being forced. Like, we don't have to try to codify morality. We don't have to try to make this make sense on paper. It just becomes what our way is, and we live it. And we jive in that process. We get along. It's synchronicity. You know what I mean? The trees are growing in their own separate ways, but they're growing in a shared grove. You know what I mean? They're feeding off of each other. And then when one tree is hurting, the other trees are giving of its life force to try to help heal its companion.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? And,
hell yeah,
and that happens so naturally. It's a great thing to, first of all, be a part of.
Oh, without a doubt.
People crave that.
They truly do, man. And they crave connection more than anything. Yeah.
Yeah.
In both a human sense and a spiritual sense, that connection is such a powerful source.
I think that's really what it boils down to is, you only get so far without going deeper than just the surface.
Yeah.
You really only get so far.
Yep. You had said that a lot of modern pagans feel alone. Why do you think that is?
From what I've seen is there's several things about it. I think that contribute to that feeling of being alone. And I can really only speak to we're in Tennessee, and we're in an area that, despite its cultural diversities and its religious diversity, there's a lot. I've met a lot of people in a short period of time who are not your typical, Christian person. The non-traditional paths and religions, alternative paths and religions. In spite of that, because of where we are, there is so much of that feeling of aloneness is I think due to if this gets out, right? If I start trying to find community, if I start trying to find connection, I'm going to be, it's going to be like a witch hunt. I'm going to be ostracized from my family. I'm going to be excommunicated from, I'm going to lose my job. There's a lot of that type of thing that exists for pagans or heathens, and stuff, especially in this part of the country, at least, so that feeling of being alone is probably a bit for their own self-preservation. I don't want to, get with the wrong crowd. I don't want to let it get out and then, compromise either my safety or my family's safety or my financial security and, all these things. There's a lot of factors that come in, and it's also, I think, another contributing thing is how our culture, how humanity has become. We've become so much away from the family unit, from the community level. Everybody's out for themselves, man. Everybody's doing their own thing, and that's what this culture has bred into people, especially in the younger generations. It's they haven't got that feeling of closeness, of community, of family, like maybe people like us did. I grew up in a very closely knit community.
Same.
Of people. We all relied on one another.
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard, but people just are lost.
Yeah.
And they're searching for that connection.
Yeah.
Back to that.
Yeah.
And well, if you're out there, you're listening, reach out to us.
Definitely. I mean, it's I love hearing from people, and especially if you're in this area, I mean, I have connections to others, even if I don't necessarily spend a lot of time with them. I know the right people to put in contact.
To that, another thing is there's that fear of aspect, right? Of not being accepted or something, or maybe, losing a job or whatever the case is. Honestly, I don't think you can legally get fired for your religious beliefs. So there's that, but I could miss opportunities, and at the end of the day, I don't know. I think conviction is one of the most powerful things someone can have. You talked about the Saxons being beheaded for not getting baptized, right? That kind of conviction, I can almost put myself there visually, willing to die for what I believe in. And I think that's just, chances are we're not going to have to face that.
True.
We're not going to have Charlemagne coming back through, trying to behead us. You never know. You never know. You get people fired up in the name of something enough rally that is possible.
Yeah.
But that said, it's but if you maintain that conviction, it may cause some headache, but on the other side of that, the right opportunities will arise. And I think the right people too, right?
Yeah, I definitely think that. I think, fear is a powerful thing that can influence people in a lot of ways, even if it's not weaponized fear, even if it's not trying to leverage fear against somebody else. Fear of the unknown, fear of in general, right? When we're afraid, we are less likely to take the chance or the risk about it because we're afraid of what could be or what might be, right? I once heard it talked about some of the things that that we experience as a human species, right? Some of these mental plagues or anxiety and depression. We'll just use those two as examples, right?
Yeah.
Anxiety is the result of fear, because you don't know.
Yeah.
You're afraid of something that hasn't happened yet, and depression is that things that have already happened. It's we're depressed because of the things that have happened to us already. It's what's been laid down in the well along the way, what's been woven into the fabric of our weird along the way that has caused that depression. It's the past. So you can't change it, and you also don't know what's ahead. So be present.
Be present.
Be living in the present, and focus on the present. And it's easier said than done. And there's probably maybe some of your audience, and I know definitely some of mine, who are that battle with various mental challenges and mental illnesses and things. And it's nothing that I ever want to put out here as like you should feel ashamed of or whatever. Like, you got to be present with it, though. You got to address it. You got to confront it, and you got to sit with it. And you can't be ashamed of those feelings. I heard a story one time from he's a Native American, maybe Lakota, Vernon something. Anyway, he tells a story about depression and how it comes and knocks on your door. And he was using himself as an example. He said, I had depression come and knock on my door. And then I opened the door, and depression just comes on in, drinks all of my wine, and eats all of my food, and then just starts, wreaking havoc in the house, turning on all the lights, flushing the toilet, just, and then stays as long as it wants. And I'm over here dealing with it, cleaning up, turning off all the lights, right? Clean up, and then leaves. Comes back, does the same thing. And he says, now, this one time, depression came and knocked on the door, and I let him in. And he says, I sat down first, and I said, now listen, you can come here, and you can come, matter of fact, you can come anytime, but you will not overstay your welcome. I will tell you how long you're going to be here for. You can sit with me, we can have a discussion, and then you're going to leave.
Interesting.
And depression was like, I respect you for that, and that's how our relationship's going to be. And it was a really interesting lesson in you're not trying to keep depression out. You're not trying to lock the door to keep it from entering. You're actually sitting with it, and you're taking time, and it's on your terms.
Yeah.
You're letting this thing happen. Maybe let it do its thing, but also, all right, that's enough. Stop. Now time to go.
Hell yeah, man.
So you take control of that, and you sit with it, and you experience these things. And I've come to learn that in my path too, is not running away from or not trying to hide or bury things that are unpleasant. Realize that the growth happens during the painful times, and don't be afraid of it.
It's interesting you say that. There's something that I do that when faced with certain, issues like that, right? I'm not going to say issues either. But those feelings, I acknowledge it, right? Feel it, acknowledge it, whatever you got to do.
Yeah, give it space.
But whenever faced with anything like that, or like I'm even in a space or somewhere that just feels off, there's a darkness, right? I also kind of take a stand at it, and I let it know. I'm like, I am light. You can't take control of me.
Mm-hmm.
I am light. This is light within. And I just I'll look around and be like, you have nothing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I acknowledge that it's there because you can't ignore it, right?
Yeah.
Those shadows are always going to follow, but you could overcome them. And for me, just like a practice I do for myself, be like, I am light. And when I put my daughter to bed every night, I tell her, no darkness can harm you. And I say lux in tenebris, which is light and darkness, right? And that's something I instill in her every day. Right when I lay her down,
Last thing on her mind is that.
Yeah. Darkness is, we allow it in, but it's there, but you choose whether or not you want to allow it to seep in and take control. Right. But you got to work through those things too. If I can instill that now, it doesn't mean she's not going to face things that will bring upon certain, depression or whatever, but you instill that mindset, it can help or overcome it a little bit better. I hope.
Yeah, I
right?
think it's important, especially when our children are young, to have that strong guidance of this is part of life. There's going to be times that are going to be scary. There's going to be times that are going to be hard for you to deal with emotionally, or and giving them that lesson early on to prepare for that. It's going to happen.
Yeah,
it happens to us all,
without a doubt. A couple more things. You had said that you were on like a pursuit of peace. What does that look like to you today? What does that mean to you at this stage in your life?
For me, it means that in spite of the hardness, in spite of the harsh reality of things, when I'm not feeling at my optimal, for whatever reason, whether I've got my own personal issues that I'm contending with, or whether it's family related things or job related, or the content that whatever it is, whatever life is throwing my way, what my pursuit of peace looks like to me is accepting the reality of things, not letting the reality of things define me, but being present with that reality and figuring out what I can learn through it. And the harsh things, whether I'm sad or upset or whatever, I need to learn how to experience those things while being at peace with it.
Yeah,
because that's where I'm going to learn what I need to learn out of it. It's not feeling shame or less of a man or less of a person for having to experience these things, right? Not trying to sit and going, what the heck is wrong with me? Why am I feeling this way? Nothing wrong with me.
Yeah,
it's just part of this gig right now. It's part of what I signed up for when I got sent here.
Yeah.
I didn't send myself. I got sent here. You know what I mean? And well, this is what it is right now. And so do the best you can with it. Be at peace with it. Realize that this is what you were made for.
100%, man. We're very similar. Like I feel like you try to find the gold in everything.
Yeah, not to be delusional, right? Because sometimes it's in there.
Well,
sometimes it's harder to find.
Yeah, no matter which. I mean, I talk. A person that's helped me realize it is like my mentor Rick. I told you about like what he's faced. Right, it's pretty extreme stuff.
Yeah,
but he's been able to find the gold and the purpose in it all.
Yeah,
and I think it's like Prometheus going to the depths of the darkness of the caves to find the light.
Yeah,
and bring it out. To me, that's what it's like. That's what we're doing. Like I think in every situation, everything you face in life. For me, every extreme I've ever been through, everything I face, I've been able to find. It's taken a while for certain things, but I've been able to find the gold in it. Mm-hmm. There's beauty in there somewhere.
Yeah, sometimes it's not right away. Sometimes you got to really, you got to chip away at that.
It could take that one situation. It could take almost 30 years.
Yeah, I feel like there's been a whole pile of gold in my life that I've just now started to uncover.
Dude, keep hacking away, man.
It's been here this whole time. I've just been, digging somewhere else.
Looking for that Arkenstone. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
You just got your pickaxe.
Yeah, just trying to dig too deep and too greedy, and then here it is. You got a whole treasure trove right under you.
Someone's gonna be like, "What the hell are they talking about?" Yeah, is there anything you want to hit on specifically before we depart?
I think we've covered a lot, and I'm glad with how the conversation's gone. And I feel like I'd just be saying more of the same thing.
Yeah,
I want to beat a dead horse,
Yeah, for sure, man. Well, my final question for you is, Jesse, what is your relentless pursuit?
I had a feeling you were going to ask that, because it's not like I'm a stalker or anything, but I'm like, that's his thing, man. This is the name of the podcast, and then I've seen a few of your shows, and it's, what is your relentless pursuit? And I just keep coming back to what am I so passionate about, or what am I? It's not about being anything other than me.
Yeah,
just pursuing Jesse, not trying to be my mom's version of me, or my dad's version, or my uncle's version, or anybody else's version. Who am I? And have I found me yet? And I think I have. I think I finally discovered who I am. And so I am now, I'm honed in. I mean, I'm locked in.
Jesse in his purest form.
That's it. You know, and just being the best version of that, and then growing and feeding that growth in a healthy way.
Hell yeah, man.
For as long as I've got, you know, that I'm riding around in this meat suit. Dude,
I love that answer, man. I do. And it always just blows my mind, man, because a lot of the answers vary so much. And it's really cool because I get to reflect on everybody's answer. And like, damn, like all these different people, their pursuits are, you know, some are similar, right? But, you know, I don't know. They just hit you with an answer that's very like specific to them and their journey. And I love hearing that from people, man.
It's a great question. Thank you for including it.
Well, of course, man. Yeah, I have to, man. That's always going to be my thing on this platform. And it's a deep question too. So, but that said, thank you for that answer. Thank you for your time, Jesse, dude. I've had such a freaking blast today or this evening. I mean, this has been such a fun recording. I'm glad we finally made this happen. We were able to connect, you know, in all the ways that we do, even off camera, talking about music and all this shit, man.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm in your corner, man. You can reach out to me anytime.
Thank you.
You've got a friend here.
I appreciate it, man. And I'm glad that my relentless pursuit of you paid off, you know?
Hell yeah, man.
I didn't just put an email out there and then I didn't hear back the first time and say, oh, well, I guess that's a wash. No, I kept at it.
Yeah.
So there's a lesson there too, right? Don't give up the first time. Don't even give up the second time. Just keep at it. If you believe in something, just keep at it.
That's my whole thing is unless someone tells me to fuck off.
Right. I'll take a hint. I mean, hey, I'm not going to bug you if you would have said, listen, man, I'm just not feeling it.
Yeah,
right,
just
cool.
tell me.
Move on to the next one. Yeah.
But until then, you know, just keep trying.
Right.
I appreciate that, man. Well, thank you for doing so. And hell
Thank
yeah.
you. Great time.
All right, brother. All right, guys. Until next time.